A 7-year-old black girl walked into a corporate giant's headquarters, clutching her mother's resume. What she did next exposed a company's darkest secrets and changed it forever. Aisha Jackson wasn't there for herself. She was fighting for her mom, a single black mother denied opportunity after opportunity. But could a child's courage unravel decades of hidden discrimination? Could one small voice force a CEO to confront his own past and a company's buried shame? This is a story of bravery, betrayal, and a battle for justice. If it moves you, hit like, share it, or drop your thoughts below. Your voice keeps these stories alive. In the gleaming lobby of Horizon Innovations in Atlanta, Aisha Jackson stood out like a spark in the dark. Barely 4 feet tall, her navy dress neatly pressed, she gripped a leather portfolio too big for her small hands. Her honey-brown braids swayed as she stepped forward, her sneakers squeaking on the marble floor. The receptionist, Tina, looked down with a puzzled smile, expecting a lost child. But Aisha's eyes held a fire beyond her years. "My mom, Maya Jackson, has an interview," she said, her voice steady. "I'm here for her." Tina blinked, unsure, but Aisha's resolve demanded attention. Daniel Carter, CEO of Horizon Innovations, was a man of precision, his days carved into schedules as unyielding as the steel in his office tower. At 47, his gray suit and stern gaze commanded Atlanta's tech world, but his heart carried a private wound, loss that lingered like a shadow. When Aisha Jackson, a 7-year-old with braids and a too-big portfolio, stepped into his lobby, something shifted. Her small voice echoed as she declared, "My mom's resume is here." Carter's blue eyes met hers, curiosity flickering where routine once ruled. "Why are you here, Aisha?" he asked, leaning forward. "Mom's in the hospital," she replied, unflinching. "She needs this job." Her directness stirred something in him, a memory of another woman denied a chance. Against every corporate instinct, he gestured to the elevator. "Come up," he said, his voice softer than he intended. As the doors closed, Aisha stood tall, clutching her mother's dreams. Carter, for the first time in years, felt the weight of his own. A child had walked into his world, and he sensed she might just change it. Aisha Jackson sat across from Daniel Carter in his sleek office, her small frame swallowed by the leather chair, her sneakers dangling above the floor. The portfolio lay open on his desk, its pages worn but neatly ordered, a testament to her mother's quiet strength. "My mom, Maya, has 8 years managing projects," Aisha said, her voice clear, eyes steady. "She's got a PMP certification and led teams that saved millions." Carter's gaze softened, caught off guard by the child's poise. He flipped through the resume, noting Maya's flawless record, yet a question gnawed at him. Why had someone this capable been overlooked? "Why does your mom want to work here?" he asked, leaning back. Aisha's answer came without hesitation. "We need health insurance. The hospital bills are piling up, and Mom says Horizon does work that matters." Her honesty struck Carter, revealing a truth he'd ignored. His company's doors weren't always open. Aisha's small hand pointed to a project report. "Mom stayed up late finishing this, even when she was sick." Carter's jaw tightened, a memory surfacing. His late wife, Caroline, shut out for wanting a family. "Who's with you while your mom's in the hospital?" he asked. Aisha shrugged, her voice matter-of-fact. "I make my own lunch. We're a team." She paused, her eyes tracing the office's glass walls. "Mom always said Horizon was special, that it built things to help people. But she cried when they said no last year." Carter's throat tightened, picturing Maya's late nights, her talent ignored. He saw Caroline in her, denied for daring to be a mother. "You're a brave kid," he said, voice low. Aisha smiled faintly. "Mom taught me to never give up, even when it's hard." Her words landed heavy, stirring a resolve in Carter he hadn't felt in years. This child, with her unwavering courage, was forcing him to see what he'd missed, a system that crushed talent under bias. He stood, decision made. "Let's go see your mom, Aisha." As they walked to the elevator, her tiny hand brushed his, a gesture of trust that shook him. He pictured Maya, fighting in a hospital bed, and Aisha, carrying her mother's dreams alone. Carter's mind raced. How many others had Horizon turned away? Aisha's small voice had cracked open his world, and he knew he couldn't look back. A reckoning was coming, sparked by a child who refused to be silenced. The hospital corridor stretched long and sterile, the air thick with the scent of antiseptic. Daniel Carter's polished shoes clicked against the linoleum as he followed Aisha Jackson, her small figure moving with a familiarity that unsettled him. She navigated the halls of Atlanta General like a seasoned guide, her navy dress swaying, her mother's portfolio still clutched tight. In room 204, Maya Jackson lay propped on a hospital bed, her dark skin pale under the harsh fluorescent lights, an IV line snaking from her arm. Her eyes, sharp despite exhaustion, widened at the sight of Aisha with a stranger in a suit. "Aisha, what have you done?" Maya's voice was hoarse, a mix of fear and frustration. Carter stepped forward, his presence commanding yet softened by Aisha's resolve. "Your daughter made an impression, Ms. Jackson. She brought your resume to my office." Maya's face drained further, mortification clear. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Carter." She was supposed to stay with a neighbor. Aisha, undeterred, climbed onto the bed, checking her mother's IV with practiced care. "You needed this job, Mom." Maya's gaze softened, then turned to Carter. "I've been turned away 10 times, because I'm a single black mom." They don't say it outright, but the questions about reliability say enough. Her words cut, echoing a pain Carter recognized from his late wife's struggles. He pulled a chair closer, voice steady but warm. "Your portfolio is exceptional. Why haven't you been hired elsewhere?" Maya hesitated, glancing at Aisha. "Employers see a liability, not a leader. My skin, my daughter. They're excuses to shut me out." Carter's chest tightened, a memory surfacing of his wife's rejection for wanting both a career and a family. "How soon can you recover?" he asked. "A week, if my tests improve," Maya replied. He nodded, handing her his card. "Have the hospital bills sent to me. We'll talk next Monday." As he and Aisha left, her small voice broke the silence. "Thank you for believing in my mom." Carter looked down, her trust stirring something he thought he'd buried long ago. A child had opened his eyes, and he was determined to right the wrong she'd exposed. The boardroom at Horizon Innovations buzzed with tension, the air heavy under the cold glow of fluorescent lights. Daniel Carter stood at the head of the mahogany table, his voice steady but charged with purpose. "Horizon has lost brilliant minds to outdated biases," he began, scanning the executive board's faces. "I'm proposing Equal Horizon, a program to support employees like Maya Jackson, single parents, people of color, women sidelined unfairly." He clicked a projector, displaying Maya's resume, her achievements stark against the screen. "This isn't charity. It's strategy. We keep the best by valuing them." Murmurs rippled through the room. Evelyn Brooks, HR director, leaned forward, her nails tapping the table, voice sharp. "Daniel, this is noble, but it risks chaos. Flexible schedules, childcare support. It's costly and disrupts our culture." Her eyes narrowed, challenging him. Charles Whitaker, the silver-haired former CEO and board member, cleared his throat, his tone condescending. Our clients expect stability, not family experiments. Carter's jaw tightened, but he stayed composed. Stability doesn't mean stagnation. We've lost talent to bias. Black employees passed over, women penalized for motherhood. That's the real cost. He paused, letting the silence weigh on them. Maya's struggle, carried by Aisha's small hands, steadied him. Maya Jackson saved her last company millions, yet she's been rejected for her race and her role as a mother. How many others have we lost? The board shifted, some nodding, one director murmuring, "He's right about talent loss." Evelyn's lips pursed. "You're making this personal, Daniel. That's dangerous." Whitaker leaned back, a faint smirk betraying confidence. "Let's not rush. We need data, not emotion." Carter met his stare, sensing deeper resistance. Data will come. Equal Horizon starts now, with Maya's hire as a pilot. As the meeting ended, Aisha's courage fueled his resolve. He didn't yet know the documents he'd uncover, proof of Whitaker's role in decades of discrimination. But in that moment, Carter felt a shift. A child had challenged Horizon's soul, and he was ready to fight for it, even against enemies within his ranks. The battle was just beginning, with stakes higher than he'd imagined. He stepped out, unaware that Whitaker was already plotting to protect his legacy. Carter's mind lingered on Maya, fighting in a hospital bed, and Aisha, trusting him to make it right. He wouldn't let them down. The board's murmurs faded behind him, but the fight for fairness was only growing louder, driven by a small voice that refused to be ignored. Alone in the dim archive room of Horizon Innovations, Daniel Carter sifted through dusty files, the air thick with the scent of forgotten secrets. His fingers traced old memos, each a fragment of the company's past. Aisha's quiet strength, defending her mother, had ignited a fire in him, pushing him to dig into Horizon's history. He pulled a folder labeled Personnel Policies, 2000 to 2010, his heart pounding as he opened it. In stark black ink, directives chilled him. Limit promotions for employees with family obligations. Prioritize candidates without childcare constraints. A memo, signed by Charles Whitaker, read, "Women of childbearing age pose risks to efficiency." Carter's breath caught, his mind flashing to his late wife, Caroline, denied part-time work after their daughter's birth. Another document listed names, talented black employees, women, single parents, marked terminated or resigned soon after earning promotions. His hands shook as he found a note about Caroline. Deny flexible schedule to set precedent. Aisha's small voice echoed in his mind, demanding he face the truth. The betrayal cut deep. Whitaker, his mentor, had built a system to crush people like Maya Jackson and Caroline. Carter's chest tightened, rage mixing with grief. For years, he'd blamed himself, thinking his focus on Horizon failed his wife. Now the truth glared back. The company he'd served had betrayed her first. Aisha's courage had forced him to see it, her plea for her mother exposing a system that crushed talent. "How many Mayas were pushed out?" he whispered, voice breaking in the silence. The realization hit. Horizon's success rested on exclusion, and he'd been complicit by ignorance. But no more. Aisha's unwavering belief in her mother had cracked open his world. He gathered the documents, their weight heavy in his hands. Each page showed lost potential, lives dimmed by Whitaker's policies. Carter tucked the files under his arm, resolve hardening. He'd confront Whitaker, expose the truth, and rebuild Horizon into a place where talent like Maya's could thrive. As he left the archive, The flickering neon light cast his shadow sharp, like a man stepping out of darkness. He didn't know Whitaker was plotting to bury Equal Horizon, but Carter felt the fight ahead. A child had shown him the cost of silence, and he'd never turn away again. The memos in his hands were more than paper. They were a call to action, sparked by a girl who refused to let her mother's dreams die. In the quiet of his office, Daniel Carter sat at his desk. The damning documents from the archives spread before him like a map of betrayal. The words of Charles Whitaker's old memos burned in his mind. Each one, a calculated blow against people like Maya Jackson and his late wife, Caroline. But before he could act, a storm broke. His phone buzzed with an alert. A news article splashed across Atlanta's media, accusing him of favoritism in hiring Maya, a single black mother with no proven credentials. The headline stung, twisting Aisha's courage into a scandal. Carter's pulse quickened, sensing a calculated move. He knew Whitaker's hand was behind this. His smug confidence in the boardroom had hinted at something darker. The article, leaked anonymously, painted Equal Horizon as a reckless PR stunt, threatening Horizon's reputation. Carter's fists clenched. This wasn't just an attack on him, but on Maya, Aisha, and every employee silenced by the company's past. He called his assistant, voice low but firm. "Get me the source of this leak." Hours later, an IT trace revealed an email sent from a boardroom IP, Whitaker's. The betrayal cut deeper than Carter expected. Whitaker, his mentor for 2 decades, wasn't just protecting tradition. He was guarding a system that enriched him through selective contracts favoring reliable employees, code for those without families or diverse backgrounds. Carter's mind raced to Aisha's small hand clutching Maya's resume, her trust in him unshaken. He couldn't let her down. "He wants to bury Equal Horizon," Carter muttered, piecing together Whitaker's motive. Jealousy over Carter's vision threatening his old guard influence. The leaked email wasn't just sabotage. It was personal, a strike to keep Horizon's discriminatory roots buried. Carter stood, resolve steeling his frame. He'd face Whitaker at the next board meeting, armed with the archive's truth. But doubt crept in. Would the board believe a child's spark over a veteran's legacy? Maya's words echoed. "They don't say it outright, but they shut me out." Carter saw her struggle in every name on those archived lists. Talent discarded for being black, for being mothers, for daring to exist outside Whitaker's mold. Aisha's courage had lit the path, but the fight was his now. He wouldn't let Horizon's past steal another future. As he prepared his case, Carter felt the weight of every silenced voice, urging him forward into a battle he couldn't afford to lose. The boardroom at Horizon Innovations crackled with tension. The air thick as Daniel Carter stood before the executives, his face a mask of controlled fury. The news article's accusations loomed, branding Equal Horizon a gamble, and Carter a CEO swayed by emotion. Charles Whitaker sat at the far end, his silver hair catching the cold light, his expression calm but calculated. "Daniel, this leak exposes a flaw in your judgment," Whitaker said, his voice smooth, almost paternal. "Clients are questioning our stability." Evelyn Brooks, HR director, nodded, her eyes sharp. "We can't afford to look biased, especially now." Carter's gaze locked on Whitaker, the archive's documents burning in his memory. Proof of decades of discrimination led by the man before him. "This isn't about bias," Carter countered, voice steady but edged with steel. "It's about truth. Horizon has silenced talent. Black employees, single mothers, women like Maya Jackson, for too long." He slid a folder across the table, its contents spilling. Memos from Whitaker's era, barring promotions for workers with families. The room fell silent, eyes darting to the pages. "This is our legacy," Carter said, pointing to a name. His late wife, Caroline, denied opportunity for motherhood. "We failed her, and countless others." Whitaker's smirk faltered, but he leaned forward, deflecting. "Those were different times, Daniel. You're digging up ghosts to justify a mistake." Maya, invited to speak, stood by the door, her presence a reminder of Aisha's courage. Carter had called her in, needing her voice heard. "I wasn't a mistake," Maya said, her voice clear. "I was rejected 5 times for promotions I earned because of my race and my daughter." Her words hit hard, and Carter saw board members shift, some with guilt, others uneasy. He pressed on. "The leak came from this room, from you, Charles." Gasps rippled. Whitaker's face hardened, but he didn't deny it. "You're risking Horizon's future for sentiment," he shot back. Carter held his ground, Aisha's plea echoing in his mind. Mom needs this job. He wouldn't let her faith falter. "Horizon's future is fairness," he said. "We start with Maya, and we rebuild." The boardroom's silence was heavy, the weight of buried truths exposed. Carter knew Whitaker's sabotage wasn't over, but Aisha's courage had ignited a fire he'd carry forward, no matter the cost. The fight for justice wasn't won, but he was ready to face it. The board's eyes turned to Whitaker, waiting for his response, as Carter stood firm, driven by a child's trust and a promise to right Horizon's wrongs. Daniel Carter's voice cut through the charged silence of the Horizon Innovations boardroom, each word deliberate, heavy with the weight of truth uncovered. He held up a memo, its faded ink a damning relic of Charles Whitaker's legacy. "This document, signed by you, Charles, barred black employees from leadership roles and penalized women for motherhood," Carter said, his eyes locked on Whitaker's now pale face. The board members shifted, their unease palpable as Carter laid out more evidence. Emails, termination records, lists of talent like Maya Jackson, discarded for daring to exist outside Whitaker's rigid mold. "You didn't just shape policy," Carter continued, his voice rising with controlled anger. "You profited from it, funneling contracts to firms that upheld your vision of reliability, a code for exclusion." Whitaker's composure cracked, his hands gripping the table. "You're twisting history, Daniel," he snapped. "I built this company's success." Carter shook his head, Aisha's small frame flashing in his mind, her unwavering courage fueling him. "You built it on broken dreams," he said, turning to Maya. "Ms. Jackson, tell them." Maya stepped forward, her gaze steady despite the scrutiny. "I was denied promotions 5 times despite outperforming my peers. My race, my daughter, they were weapons used against me." Her voice trembled but held firm, echoing Aisha's plea. "Mom needs this job." The room stilled, some board members looking away, others nodding slowly. Carter seized the moment. "Equal Horizon isn't a risk. It's our redemption." He revealed Whitaker's leaked email, traced to his IP, exposing the sabotage. Gasps erupted. Evelyn Brooks, HR director, stood, her voice shaken. "Charles, is this true?" Whitaker's silence was answer enough. Carter pressed forward. "We vote now. Remove Whitaker from the board and greenlight Equal Horizon." Hands rose, one by one, sealing Whitaker's fate. As he stormed out, his glare promised retribution. But Carter felt only resolve. Aisha's trust, Maya's strength, and his late wife's memory drove him. "This is for them," he said softly, addressing the board. "For every voice we silenced." The victory was bittersweet, the cost of truth heavy. Carter knew Whitaker's allies lingered, their influence a shadow yet to be faced. But Aisha's spark had lit a path, and he'd walk it, determined to rebuild Horizon into a place where talent, no matter race or role, could shine. The fight was won, but the war for justice loomed larger still. After Whitaker's exit, Carter rebuilt Horizon's policies, but shadows lingered. A year later, the company's atrium glowed with warm sunlight, filled with employees and guests for a new chapter. Daniel Carter stood at a podium, his gray suit softened by hope. "Today we launch the Carter Equity Foundation," he announced, voice steady, carrying hard-won change. "It's a commitment to fairness. For single parents, people of color, women denied their place." Beside him, Maya Jackson, now a project director, radiated strength, her recovery complete. Aisha, in a bright yellow dress, handed out flyers, her smile a beacon of pride. Carter's eyes lingered on her, her courage still guiding him. "This foundation honors those we failed," he said, thinking of his late wife Caroline and others buried in Horizon's files. Maya stepped forward, her voice clear. "I stand here because a child believed in me. Let's build workplaces where no one's left behind." The crowd applauded, but Carter's gaze caught a shadow. Charles Whitaker's absence stirred unease. He'd learned of Whitaker's final act, an email to rival firms, hinting at sabotage to disrupt Horizon's contracts. The threat loomed, a reminder that justice was fragile. Carter addressed the crowd, tone resolute. "Change isn't easy. It demands courage, like Aisha's, and honesty, even when it hurts." He glanced at Maya, who nodded, her hand on Aisha's shoulder. Aisha's trust had forced him to face his complicity in Horizon's past. "We're not done," he added. "Every step forward is a fight." The crowd shared their stories. Black colleagues overlooked, mothers demoted. "Have you faced a closed door?" "Share below." Carter felt their voices join Aisha's, a chorus demanding more. He ended with a call. "Join us. Speak up wherever you are. Your voice matters." As the event closed, Aisha tugged his sleeve. "Did we do good, Mr. Carter?" He knelt, meeting her eyes. "You did better than good, Aisha. You changed everything." Her grin warmed him, but Whitaker's shadow lingered. The fight for fairness wasn't over, and Carter knew new battles awaited. Aisha's spark had ignited a movement, one that would outlast any sabotage. For those silenced, for Maya, for Caroline, he'd keep going. The lesson was clear. Courage, even from the smallest soul, could reshape the world, but only if you dared to stand with it. A child's belief had transformed a company, and Carter vowed to protect that legacy, no matter what lay ahead.